This is Aaron Levine, LG Insurance Agency, hanging out with my friend Nicole Perrone, the billion-dollar banker, as she calls herself. We're going to find out why in a minute. But we're on the Who You Work With Matters podcast. We're going to talk about the who's and the whys and the whats. And there's so much interesting conversation we're about to have. So Nicole, thanks so much for joining me. I can't believe you took time out of your TV schedule from the American Dream TV series to join us in Red Bank today. But this is great. It's great to see you again.
Well, thank you for having me. You
Absolutely.
have an incredible reputation in the market. I love your studio, and I'm really excited to be here today.
So where did the billion-dollar banker come from? What genius came up with that? Or you just woke up one morning and you're like, boom, this is it?
I just woke up. I had like a midlife crisis. Can you have a midlife crisis at under 40? I'm still under 40.
Yes.
But no, I spent 13 years of my career at a large financial institution, more in an executive management role for the last few years. And as I broke out and stepped into the world of correspondent lending and progressive marketing and all the capabilities, I said, I think an empowering name is meaningful.
Okay. Love that.
And I think from a branding perspective, it's a little bit catchy. I think at first I was like, I don't know, this is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. But to me, it represents the potential. It represents transformation. Right. My podcast is all really about like limitless potential, reaching it, going for it, knowing that you can invest in yourself. And so for me, it's that reminder. And so that's what it represents. I
love that. I'm not a fan. I don't do titles. Like my business card, I think it says like, insurance agent on it, professional insurance agent. I'm not big on the titles, but now I'm like jealous. I'm having a little bit of a
Maybe we
moment.
can think about some names.
I think
for you.
I need to come up with something, or I'm going to let some other people come up with it. Like being in college again, like what's my nickname going to be?
Yeah.
And then all the
it sticks with you
out.
forever when you have like a college nickname. Exactly. But,
well, it used to be Big Daddy. I don't know how that kind of translates
let's
into
see, Big
my
Daddy
world.
luxury,
Big Daddy
luxury
insurance.
daddy. we can work on this.
We're going to the wrong websites with that one.
Yes,
with that one there, but that's definitely
we might get too far away from insurance.
So we met originally while you were at your prior financial institution as a leader of a great team of mortgage lenders, right?
Yes.
Of mortgage professionals who I've worked with several times in the past. So, we definitely did some networking and some marketing and promotion before. And you've moved over to a smaller bank, a mortgage bank, or are you a broker? What's the banking situation
The right
now?
term, I guess, is like correspondent lender. We still bank 90% of our business. So I'm with CrossCountry Mortgage. We're the #1 distributed retail lender in the country.
No way.
So if you take the banks out of the equation who are barely lending at the capacity they used to, you look into the really 80% of the mortgage market is in the correspondent and broker world. So we're only brokering about 10% of our business. So the great advantage is when you come to a place like ours, we have over 100 investors we work with, but most of them we underwrite, process, close, and fund those deals right in-house.
Okay. And what's your formal title at CrossCountry?
Senior Vice President of Production. I came here with a team. I have a team with me. We're constantly growing that team. A predominant part of what I do is help loan officers find a better home to succeed. And it's been a great journey so far, bringing people over from all different financial institutions to join us.
I love that. So that's like the concept of this podcast, the Who You Work With Matters. But it's all about the who's, right? So we have different who's. Everybody wants to know why you do things. I want to know who has helped you get to where you are, right? Who relies on you, because as a team leader, as growing a business, you have a lot of people relying on you, and you're helping people find a better home and a better fit with better processes, better technology to sell more loans.
Yes.
Right. So you're, a who in a lot of different people's lives, and that goes both ways. You rely on the who's to be successful, both on the podcast, in your journey as a professional speaker as well right now, and in your professional career. I don't know where you have time for anything else because, there's so many different things going on, which I absolutely love, right? It's the old, if you want something done, ask a busy person to do it.
Yes, that's absolutely right. When the mortgage market shifted from 2021 to 22, you realized, oh my gosh, I had so much time. Like I was doing 10, 12-hour days, in 2021 when the refi boom happened. You go down to what felt like a 5 or 6 hour day. And then it was like, well, what am I going to do with all this extra time? And I think it was a perfect opportunity. We always hear that adage about, instead of working in the business, work on the business. And so to me, that was that opportunity where you're either going to double down on what you're doing. And when I think about who I am, I think about the fact that I'm an integral leader, a servant leader, one that really wants to lead from the front and be with my team in that experience, and then figure out what it is that they need from me. It could be anything from coaching to getting out on the road together to showing them how to create something that I'm creating today.
I love that. Go a little deeper into that, into how you're really helping your team and those benefits that you're bringing to them, because I think that's important for anybody watching and that wants to figure out how to be that transitional leader, to be that person that people are going to rely on. Take us a little bit further into that.
Yeah, well, I think I started with integral leadership, right? I think when you find that as a leader, you're not in alignment with the core values of an organization, that's when you have to really make decisions that are best for the people that are working for you. I think there's a distinct difference between management and leadership.
Okay.
I think leaders are out in front and managers are usually behind, pointing and saying, you go do that, you go do that.
Right.
So one of the things that always resonated with me is like when you follow someone, you want to be confident that you know where they're going and where they're going to take you. And so you have to be able to portray the vision of what you want to create. And one of the biggest visions here that I want to create is the ability to expand in a market that's been contracting. And so we do that in two ways. One, we do that by expanding our marketing, right? And reaching to more people. Instead of you and I, 5 years ago, we would have had this conversation over coffee or lunch. Maybe you would have wasted $100 or I would have wasted $100.
Right.
Today, we're doing it here in a studio, and hopefully this conversation will resonate with plenty of other people and we can share it. So I think if you're not doing that today, you're leaving a lot on the table. And so a big place I wanted to lead from the front on is in the space of marketing and advertising and expansion. And then obviously we're expanding from a product perspective. We want to make sure that every customer that hits our desk, we can help them win.
Sure.
And when you're limited on those products and those opportunities, you can't really do it. So I'm a real pioneer and advocate for helping people accomplish what I know they can.
You're doing it from both sides, right? You're doing it from the people side and from the product side to make sure you have the product for the people. I didn't really come out that way. I didn't mean it to come out that way, but it's like, you want to have the product. Same thing with on the insurance agency side of it. We want to make sure we have the right carriers in place for people buying homes, people driving cars, people owning and operating businesses.
Absolutely.
And, I recorded another video this morning with a vendor of ours who helps mid-sized companies with their claims management, right? And so we went through a whole process of what does this tool actually do and how are people going to benefit from it? Absolutely. And where are we going to find the money, right? There's always money involved somewhere. Let's figure it out first, and then the money's going to follow later. Yeah. And this was, here's how we can show you where the savings is going to come in later if you follow a certain process and bring in this tool that's going to then take some other stuff off your plate. So product, great, and then leading the people by example and doing this, creating the content, and having these conversations in the open. And so we typically will take this podcast, we'll cut up like 10 or 12 YouTube shorts and Instagram reels, and then there'll be the long form video. The reels and the shorts, we'll see 1,000 views on. The long form, 50, 100. Yeah. No one's sitting in for the full length of it, but if we do our job right and the software does its job right and cuts the right clips off, there's so much gold in this conversation to share with people. There is. And you're doing the same thing with your show. How many episodes are you in right now? So
we're up to, I think we're at 29 episodes. We started October of 23, I believe. So so I've done a lot of solo stuff, and then a lot, we're reaching out to a broader audience. We're getting some really great names on. I'm really excited about what we have coming up in January. But it's a combination, right? Like there's so much value that I get from sitting down on other people's podcasts just to see how you're doing it, how it's working for you. Incredible amount of views. And there's a lot that goes into this, right? It's funny because it's like you have to know insurance, right? I got to know mortgages. We got to know the ins and outs of our business. But then I've been saying for a long time now, like, if you're not marketing and you're not leading with a marketing approach, all that really doesn't matter. No one's going to know.
No one's going to find you.
Right. No one's going to know what you do.
Right.
So.
Right. And this is fun, by the way. Like I enjoy doing this. What I say, like I'll do anything to not talk about insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And then, by the way, people are going to buy insurance from me. The money always follows. And I have a great team in the office right now. We've expanded the team. We're at 16 people.
That's great.
So the office keeps growing. And so I get to go out and have more fun and hopefully provide better experiences for my employees at the same time. Because as I'm learning, I get to bring things home with me too for everybody else to share in. So that goes both ways. Now, when we originally spoke, you had a message that you wanted to share. You were a keynote speaker recently at an event, and you came up with a concept. It's not a new concept, but it's your spin on it. I love, right? The science of luck.
Good job.
Right? I got it right. See, I remember some things. My brain works once in a while. So talk to me about the science of luck and how you're bringing it out to people and how other people can benefit from your message.
Sure. Well, I was asked to do a keynote at the 4th Annual Women's Conference for the Jersey Shore Chamber, which was just a great honor. And I was really excited. I had to be thoughtful about what kind of a topic could apply. To your point, I didn't want to talk about mortgages. I didn't really want to talk about, work hard.
Nobody wants to hear about it.
Right. Nobody cares. And it's interesting. It's like through hindsight, it's like, why didn't I know this 15 years ago when I got into the business? But really, the conversation about luck is how you can control it, how you can create environments in your life where luck can thrive and where you can harness more opportunities. And so we talk about the formula for luck and rinsing and repeating that formula over and over again so that you can have more opportunities to create luck in your life. And so it really resonated with people. They're very inspired by it. We cited a Dr. Richard Wiseman who conducted a 10-year groundbreaking study on luck. And what he found was that lucky people tend to be more open-minded. This is open-minded right here. I don't know, 5 years ago, I don't think I would have been in front of a camera with all this lighting and sitting here with you. So I think that requires a level of open-mindedness. And then they have broader social networks. And so that's another component of what we're doing here. And then as you continue to kind of put yourself in that space, like we said before, you're going to create an environment where more things will come your way.
We had a guest a couple episodes ago, Bridget Sorensen from Blue Water Wave, who her message is about the art and science of networking, right? How it's both an art and a science. And this is networking in a way, but being thoughtful about how you're out networking and being conscious of those follow-up requirements, how important that is. If you're out meeting somebody, maybe you get the list beforehand and you can do some pre-outreach on LinkedIn, connect with people, say, hey, I see that you're going to this event, looking forward to connect. Then you can get a face already associated because there's a photo there for most people. And then that post follow-up is super important also. It's building that relationship and creating that opportunity. And I love to, and we've done this a few times, is in networking, inviting people to apply to be on the podcast. I say apply like it's a big, it's very difficult. Like, hey, Aaron, you want to get up, just show up and we'll talk, because I love doing it, and I'll record more episodes as we have more time to do it. But
pretty soon you'll be waitlisted, I'm sure. And we'll have to pay to get
that'll be a good problem to have.
seat.
Then we'll be sponsored, and this branding will be somebody else's, and they'll pay to be here, right? It'll be great. We had a guy that retired from his career as a title agent to full-time podcaster.
Okay. Interesting.
Right? So there is a path depending on how you want to take it. I'm not in it for the revenue, but I'm in it for the networking, the camaraderie, the conversation, the education, and really just the people in the community to continue doing this.
I love that. I was going to add to what you're saying about networking. When we talk about the formula of luck, we talk about how it's preparation, right? Doing the groundwork, building the skills, laying that foundation, and then getting into places where the opportunity will come, right? Having the mindset to notice opportunity, because opportunity it's not like a flashing red sign. Like, you have to see it. But then it's taking bold action. So that part, that follow-up part, right? Sometimes you prepare, you have the opportunity, and you take action, and nothing happens, right? And maybe you've failed, and you're like, I don't know, and no one's reached back out to me. So that bold action part and that kind of repeating those steps over and over again is an important part of kind of.
How do you coach somebody to bold action? How do you help with that?
That's a great question.
Right? Because I hear fear in bold action.
Yeah.
Right? That it's not easy to take that to ask, right? If you want something, you need to ask for it.
Sure.
Right. So bold action to me is asking for something, right? And that's very difficult for people to ask, especially younger in their careers.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's a great question. Yeah. When you think about the steps in the sales process, right? There's like, introducing yourself and what's the value in talking to me, right? It's discovering people's needs. It's presenting solutions. And then it's asking for business, right? So, and that's, some people have a difficult part in the beginning, the end, the middle, and all those phases of the process are important. Because if you go from A to Z and you skip like discovering, well, what's important to you, and I went right over that to telling you what I do and what my solutions are that I think you need, then you've missed a big part. But the follow-up piece is a huge component, because you ask for the business, you have to kind of keep asking for it. So we all have heard most sales happen on the 5th to 12th follow-up, right? And so a lot of people kind of let go of those follow-up steps. They'll go to an open house, they'll go to a broker's open, they'll attend a networking event, they'll do one follow-up email, they'll throw you in their database, and then they'll wonder why they don't get any opportunity. So we have to just really simply put, increase the propensity of follow-up shortly after you meet someone to get those amount of touches in as quickly as you can and really get comfortable with asking for the business.
So what's the most difficult piece of that process for you?
I think, well, through time, I think it starts with, what do I say? How am I going to follow up? Like, what am I? So it was nice meeting you.
Right.
I hope you enjoy what we were talking about. Okay. Yeah, thanks. It was nice talking to you too. Well, now what? Now what am I going to do? How am I going to stay in touch with them? Am I just going to send them mortgage products and rates for the rest of their lives? Or am I going to find a way to deliver value? So people need to figure out what's their way of delivering value. As an example, I'll give you an example today. I recorded, we have a new president, inauguration just happened. And so we know Trump signed an executive order for housing relief. And I immediately recorded just an audible only podcast. And I sent it out to my database of realtors and said, hey, this might be something you want to share. Like, what are the housing impacts that we're going to see that we could see as a result of these executive orders? So to me, that's a way of delivering value and delivering it in a way where it's like content appropriate for today's environment, right? People don't really read emails.
They want to see that. They want to hear the news.
Right.
They want to hear it from you. And we've done that a few times on some relevant topics, and it's well received. When there's something in the news, it's a great time to talk about it. Yeah. And everybody's talking about insurance right now, especially with California and North Carolina and all the natural disasters we've had, and how bad insurance is, and how many conversations I've had in the last 2 weeks of when are we going to see some relief in rate, whether it's on commercial property or on liability. But I see more claims in the last 6 months than I have in years. Yeah. So we're seeing so many claims on property, even on the liability side. Like, anybody slips and falls, anybody does something anywhere in a commercial property, there's a lawyer involved in 5 minutes. It's just wild, the amount of claims I'm seeing, and most of them shouldn't need to go anywhere. Right. But all it's doing is jacking up the insurance rates and making a headache for small business owners and people that own residential property.
Discouraging people from applying for a claim to begin with, right?
Yeah. I had a guy today. He's like, Aaron, I don't make enough profit to pay this increase. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You got to raise your rates. You're going to have to raise rent to cover your insurance. I'm sure it's in the lease where you can raise the rent again. He's like, I'm already charging top dollar.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's not easy. I have a place in Tampa, and when the hurricane hit, it was, a lot of you learned a lot about insurance during that period of time, what you can claim, what you can't claim. And, it's a 4-unit. I had tenants everywhere, and you didn't think there was flooding and fences and all this stuff you have to deal with. So there are so many things in life that are important to understand. And like, you can't know them all, right? You got to have the person you can go to and say, hey, tell me about insurance, or tell me about mortgages, or tell me about finance. All these things are such important components of our financial success. So
yeah, I'm reading a book right now, Buy Back Your Time. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I haven't.
So I forget the author, but I just started getting into it, and it's all about, buying back your time. How do you buy back your time? You buy back your time by hiring other people, right? I'm a big fan of bringing in the right people that are smarter than me to do different jobs, right? So I can buy back my time so I can do what I want to do, which is sit here, or work with my team, or try to get involved in higher value risk management projects. So it talks a lot about that, and it's bringing in the right who's into your life right? Same thing with Who Not How, Benjamin Hardy, Dan Sheridan, Dan Sullivan, talks about the who's in your life. You need a who. If you don't want to do your bookkeeping anymore, you need a who, that's your bookkeeper, to offset that so you can then do something else.
100%.
And I love watching that go down the line in the office as well.
Isn't that one of the hardest parts in running a business is being able to scale? It's like one of the things I love about this side of the industry is like not working for a big organization that's telling you, well, if you'd like to hire someone else, like here's what you need to achieve in order for us to do that for you, as opposed to you saying, you know what, I'm going to invest in myself today. Right. I'm going to hire them. I'm going to put the money up. I'm going to scale my business the way I want to. And then I know where the future profits are going to be when I do that.
Yeah. So. I mean, it's delegation versus investing, right? You can delegate certain tasks and then you can invest in other tasks and other means, right? Like you talked, this has been a marketing conversation.
Sure.
This is an investment in marketing of your personal and professional brands for you as well as me. So, that's why these conversations go so well. What books have you been reading? Have you been into anything lately?
I listen to Audible quite a bit. I've really moved along to the podcast world a lot.
All right.
And I just feel like it's easier to digest. I wrote a book just recently that I'm almost at the verge of publishing February and March.
So
and,
cool.
I'm a big Audible fan.
Okay.
The classics I listen to over and over again, Think and Grow Rich and anything by Napoleon Hill, 10X by Grant Cardone. I always loved it. Just about taking action, just getting it done. That resonates with me. They say a lot of dreams.
I started that. I think I read half of it. It's kind of like David Goggins. I didn't really resonate very much with David Goggins.
That was a hard one for me to listen to. It really was.
But
I have it in my Audible.
The 10X I started, I'm like, I get it. Just wasn't the right message for me.
It wasn't there for you. It's interesting because they say that, it goes the same in like we're thinking about short clips. People watch short clips over long videos. It's the same thing with a book. They say that only 90 or 10% of people get past the first chapter of a book.
All right.
So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Blinkist.
No.
But that's you remember like Cliff Notes in college?
Yeah.
That's like the Cliff Notes.
There's an app for that? It's an app.
It basically will summarize the book in 15 minutes. Here are the key points. Here's
ChatGPT will do the same thing also, by the way. And I've done that because we did a book review of Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. I
read that book. I love Patrick Bet-David.
Phenomenal book. And so Tom Mirabella from Wingman Planning in Belmar and I did a podcast book review together on that book.
I love that.
And that just got published this week. So that was a lot of fun.
I'll check it out.
That book was great. Like that's a great kickoff to the year. Like just, pulling out what's next.
And a great guy to listen to.
A couple steps ahead, like super, super message. Really enjoyed that one. So
did you read his Choose Your Enemies Wisely?
I did not, but I will. Yeah.
That one I actually got through a good portion of it. But again, it's kind of hard to stick all the way through. I'm like, I want to take my little pieces of it and
that's why Audible's good because you can go back and forth to different things. And, I get into podcasts. I get out of podcasts depending on who I feel like listening to. Seth Godin was somebody I used to listen to a lot. His Akimbo podcast was one of my favorites. And there's definitely others. There's so much content out there.
There's
I don't listen to myself. That's one that I definitely don't listen to is my own. Although I'm guilty, I did give my daughter, on my daughter's phone the other day, I put in, I pulled up one of our podcasts. I'm like, let that play on the side.
You're like, you're going to listen to that.
So there's one view that she had to endure for a few minutes. I think it probably lasted 3 or 4 minutes. But I want to bring something else up.
Sure.
Now, you were also the host of a television program, right? American Dream TV.
Yes.
Tell me more about that because I was on the phone with Carrie O'Brien today, and I think you did an episode with her.
I did.
Right. So tell me about how did that come to fruition? How did you get that lucky to have that role?
Well, So American Dream TV it's an Emmy-nominated national television show. It's all about real estate, lifestyle, and community. And so the hosts around the country are traditionally in either real estate or finance, and they showcase whatever local community they choose to spotlight. We just did the Ritz-Carlton and Nomad with Lauren Kelly, which was amazing.
So cool.
Beautiful condos. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a journey. Interestingly enough, I went to Monmouth University. I got a bachelor's in communication, radio, television.
Funny.
And so then I ended up in the mortgage industry, and now it's kind of all circling back together. It's a great way for me to add value to people like Carrie O'Brien and other realtors at Sirhan and beyond, and local business owners, to help them spotlight whatever they want to show us on the show that may be of interest, and a great way to kind of jointly get exposure through that process. And American Dream TV is a phenomenal network. We actually have the owner joining us on a podcast later on this month to talk about how he created what he did. He's actually an ex-mortgage guy that went out and set forth with this, and now I think he's got thousands of people throughout the country that are hosts for him.
So it's like it's a YouTube show, or is it?
No,
on
it's on Apple Television,
it's on Apple TV.
Amazon Fire, Roku.
So
Some of
cool.
the best stuff will get picked up by Amazon Prime or Travel. It's been seen on Fox, CNBC, Bloomberg. So it's got legs to it. They get millions of views every month, and
so how did you get
a lot of
picked
viewership
for that? Did you apply?
You
Was
apply,
there a
yeah.
process?
If anybody's interested, there's a lot of opportunity. I work directly with the CEO there, and so you apply. You go through their process and program, and if you're selected, you're hosting a show.
That's so much fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's fun.
It's like podcasting on steroids. That's like a whole nother level
Mm-hmm.
of it, right? You have a production crew. Not that we don't have a production crew with us today, but you have a crew with you, and you're just doing it differently, which is great.
It is.
You're showcasing on your personal brand on another brand, and kind of meshing it all together and bringing your personality to it and your guests' personality to showcase what they do best. And obviously your episode with Carrie O'Brien, which was filmed right in my own backyard, I thought was pretty cool to see that.
It was impressive to see look, you learn so much from the guests that you have on your show and the people that you meet in networking environments. And Carrie's just someone it's just inspirational what she's created with her brand and her vision, which she's continuing to create.
Yep.
So it was really exciting she invited us into her home. Beautiful. We went on a boat ride around the river. Yeah. It was funny. At some point she was like, yeah, I sold that house. I sold that house. I sold that house. She's like, did that sound bad? And I'm like, no, it's the truth. Like, you have sold so many of these homes.
Right.
And so it's really impressive. But we're looking for our next guest now. We've been focusing on New York a little bit more.
Okay.
And so we just aired the Lauren Kelly episode at the Ritz. She's with Sirhan, incredible agent, and it was just aired on January 18th. So you can see it on Apple TV. Mm-hmm.
So when's you're publishing your book? When's that coming out?
So the book's called The MVP Mindset. And
it's not about the science of luck?
It's not about the science of luck.
Is that going to be book number 2?
You know
Did
what?
I just let that cat out of the bag?
That book name is taken in every way, shape, or form. You could, for the luck formula, the luck theory, the luck equation, it's all already
gone.
accounted
I'm sure
for.
Somebody's got it.
Yeah, so I can't own the concept of the science of luck, but I'm actually loving going out there and speaking about it in a different way. So but it's a small book. It's just all about mindset. It's all about how to apply yourself. It's a quick read. It's really meant to be kind of interactive. At the end of every chapter, it kind of gives you some actionable steps. Like,
nice.
I don't know if you've ever went to Tony Robbins' event or something like that, but you sit and you go through something, and then you have an exercise where you really have to kind of think about what you've just read.
Okay.
So it's one of those books where hopefully people can read it, go through each exercise, and then really apply the things that they hear into their lives.
That's awesome. Good for you on that. Good luck with that. We'll wait for that to come out. We'll make sure we buy it and give you some 5-star reviews on Amazon. As every author that I personally know, they're like, all right, get this book and make sure I get the 5 stars right away so we can get some traction on Amazon so we can sell a couple copies.
Right. It's a fun process. It's like doing all of this is a fun way to just explore the things that we've been doing for years and the lessons that we've learned, and just, you give it to people. And like they say, someone said recently that was on my show, they were like, if I could change 10,000 lives, I can impact millions of people, right? Because you think about how everything's so generational. Mm-hmm. If you could change the mindset of one person, how many people, or you can influence one person's life, how many people can you really help?
Right.
So
I love that. It's mindset. It's luck. It's the American dream.
That's it.
It's all the above. If you need a mortgage, you might know somebody that can help you out with that too. And then obviously we'll help you insure the property. Nicole, thanks so much for joining me today. I got so much out of it. I've got so much to dissect and figure out later on, but maybe we'll have to do a follow-up. Who knows?
Yes. Would love that.
Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.